Welcome back to day number 2 of building our own tower defense game in Roblox, guys. So we did add a couple changes since the last time you saw me, and I know it's been a few days, but some of the things we did is we actually changed up the map a little bit, made it look a little bit nicer. We got a new road, we got some buildings here. I know in the future, like, we're gonna need like a spawn place, and then like your base, I guess we'll just call it like the military base or something. Looks like that thing's not welded, or neither is that light post, so we're gonna have to fix that. But we also got a new enemy, which is obviously going to be the German unit, and that's kind of as far as we probably go with that. So we'll call him that, and we'll have him as pretty much like the basic enemy. It's gonna be like the small toilet for those of you that still watch me in the TTD era. It's gonna be something like that, the most basic unit of them all. We'll start there because obviously in the future we're gonna have to add a lot more like cooler stuff. Surely when it comes to this army, of course we could have some other things like their type of commander. We could have tanks. I know that they have some really crazy tanks. They have some other really crazy weapons and like the rockets and stuff like that. So we got lots of options for enemies. We'll definitely get to that later on. I'm sure somewhere down the like series of like Gnome's like code guide, that's gonna be a thing. But for right now, we're starting pretty simple, and in today's video we're mainly gonna be focusing on maybe finishing up the design of the map. So I kind of want to get these mountains just going all the way around, and I was thinking for this game we're probably gonna have like a water system where you can put down like boats and stuff. So maybe like on this edge of the map we'll kind of turn it into an ocean that just goes way out in the distance, and then we'll kind of have the mountains just on the side like this. That's something that we'll definitely have to consider doing. But also we got the tree. I made it a little bit smaller. I was kind of thinking of making everything smaller on the map. I know TTD's kind of got like normal sized objects, but I think in this game we're gonna do smaller size. I know the mountains kind of look huge in that regard, but that's because we're obviously gonna have to have a world border. So that's gonna be that, and then we're gonna probably put some of these trees all around the map, maybe get some rocks, definitely get some of those trees up on the mountain. I think that'll make it look kind of nice. And I don't know if we're gonna be able to do snow up there, but that'll be pretty neat to be able to get some snow up on top. And I also had a dude, shout out to Pretzel, he made me a bunch of units that are gonna be in the game, so that's really awesome. And I believe we had another guy, Chase or Jeff, if you guys have been playing Among Us with us on stream, he also helped us with a few other units as well. So we're gonna have a lot of cool stuff. Obviously that stuff, we're gonna have to get down units and stuff in a different video, because today, like I was saying, we're gonna be focusing on the wave based attacks. So that is probably gonna have like a bunch of these guys spawning in. As you guys can see, I'm currently in the game right now, but he will start here. And then something that we did finish in the last video, if you didn't see that, go check it out. Day number 1, we've just kind of figured out the basic track. If you're wondering what these red things are, don't worry, they're not going to be there in the final game. They're just there for right now to kind of visualize the track, see where he's going to move, because the way the system works is essentially he's going to every single like waypoint, I guess we'll call it, in order. They're each called 1 to like 14, I think. So let's say that's number 10. He's going to 11. Now he's set to go to 12. And then he's going to go to 13, 14, 15. And there, obviously, if he gets here, well, you screwed up because you're supposed to kill him by then. But that's all going to come in future episodes where we actually have to like code our base to take damage, and then obviously the enemy's got to take damage. Like, we don't even have towers in the game yet, so we got a long way to go, boys. But I hope you're sticking around for the journey, because this is going to be a sick game. If you guys are new here, it's going to be like a World War based tower defense game. There's really nothing like it on Roblox right now. I know that like TDX it's got some stuff, but it's more modern warfare. This is going to be obviously like old school warfare. So I think personally it's gonna be pretty neat. We're just gonna have to see what happens, but hopefully you guys stick around for the journey. If you're new here, hit that like and subscribe button, turn those notifications on so you don't miss day number 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, because it's gonna be a pretty exciting series. But guys, I'm gonna go check out the code video from Gnome, and let's get started, see what we gotta do next. Okay guys, so first thing that we're going to do is, instead of going right to the code video, actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of copy and paste some more of these mountains. So over here, we got the grass mountain, obviously. Like I said, I kind of want to have this as like a border. We're going to try to just kind of mix and match them so they don't all look the same. And that's pretty easy to do. So we're just going to go ahead, duplicate it. And then I think so we have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we have 3 right now. So with that being said, we can kind of just grab it and maybe drag it to the other side or something like this. So I'm just going to use this tool, I guess, go like that, and we should be good. I'm just going to be, dragging these blue lines. And like I said, guys, listen, we're pretty new to this, so if you have any tips for us, I saw in the last video, that last video actually did really well, considering like my most recent videos and stuff haven't been doing like the greatest since ever, TTD kind of died down for us, obviously. So recently seeing that video, really good sign. And I think you guys actually are pretty interested in this project. So that's pretty cool to see. But right now, our main focus, like I said, is going to be trying to get these mountains to look kind of, not necessarily completely unique, but just a little bit different every single time. So that way, it doesn't all just look like the same mountain copy and pasted around the track. And, it is, like I said, but at the same time, we just want it to look at least a little bit different, you know what I'm saying? So let's duplicate this one. This one's going to be a little bit easier to move since it's right next to that one. So that's pretty good to see. And we'll just go like this. And obviously, we have to leave some room for our towers, so we don't want to completely fill up the whole map with just the mountains. But that right there is looking pretty good if you ask me. I don't know what you guys think, but so far pretty good. And like I said, we're probably going to get some trees around the map too. But what I'm thinking, guys, is one more mountain right here, and then we could kind of work on trying to get a little bit of like an ocean going. Now, I don't know how necessarily easy that's going to be. That actually might be kind of difficult. And, it's going to take a whole different process of coding. But luckily, like I said, guys, we have the use of AI for this video too. Because I don't know if Gnome is going to necessarily go into all of that. But we got AI. We also have some friends that, have helped us in our bike battles game. If you guys haven't played that yet, definitely come try out our bike game. It's going to be under the same studio, Crazy Club Studios, by the way. If you guys aren't in that community on Roblox, definitely come check us out. We got a couple pretty cool things going on here now. So we got this game coming out. We already have the bike game out, and we'd love to have you guys come try those games. Right now we got season 2 going on in the bike game too, so that's pretty cool. But I'll leave that linked in the pinned comment or something. You guys can check it out if you want. But boys, so far, what do you think? I think that looks pretty good. Now I would like to have like a beach type thing going on right here, and let's just go ahead and save this right now, because so far I am liking the looks of that. Let's just go hop in the game, see how it looks. So yeah, so far I like that. Like I said, we're gonna get some trees up on the mountain, so let me go ahead and do that real quick. All right, guys, so we got some trees, and we got trees everywhere, my friends. So that's looking a little bit better, and I think it's definitely a little bit nicer. Obviously, I think we could add in some other decorations like rocks, but I also got the beach going, and I got some water going, but I was trying to figure out this terrain editor tool, and man, let me tell you, I have no idea how that works. It makes no sense to me. So I'm not even sure if that's going to be interactable with the game. So that might have to change later. We might have to just add in a part like this right here in the main ground. Those are just parts. So like the beach, like the sand area, that's just a part. This is a part. That is terrain editor. And I don't understand the terrain editor for that though. I kind of just, kind of drew up like a big square and just made an ocean. But like, obviously I think you're just going to fall right through that. So if you ask me, guys, that might be a big problem here. Like, let's see what happens if I go ahead and start the world up. Uh-oh. Looks like a lot of the trees are not anchored as well. So we're going to have to go ahead and anchor those, but that's not that big of a deal. But let's see. Do you fall right through? Oh, no, you actually start swimming. Okay, well, that's actually really interesting then. I don't know how that's going to work. Oh, and you just fall right through. Okay, so wow, I was not actually expecting us to start swimming in the game. So I guess that has its own properties with that, which is pretty neat, but obviously not what we're really going for, so we'll probably just have to kind of go ahead and make that just one whole part, and then we won't have to deal with that anymore, so that's good. But the one thing that I wish you could do, and I don't still understand if you could do it or not, but like having it just kind of square like this is driving me crazy, like just one straight edge. So I wonder, surely there is like a good video on YouTube maybe showing you how to actually use this terrain tool, because it seems like it'll be helpful, but man, right now I'm just a little bit confused by it. But otherwise, I'll just have to do some like zigzags with it or something like that and just make it work. But for right now, I don't know. I feel like it looks a little goofy, but hey, man, we'll figure it out. We'll get it done. It's not that big of a deal. And we're probably going to go ahead, maybe add in some cool like old school World War II ships, and then maybe just like, some like barricades on the ground here on the beach, kind of like the D-Day type vibe. But that's going to be a whole map on its own in the future. So I'm not too worried about that for right now. But we're just going to try to make it look a little bit nicer, and then we could go ahead and start working on the wave system. All right, guys, so I just selected all the trees and all the parts inside of them, and I think I anchored them all. So let's go ahead, test this out, see if it's working now. Hopefully it is. Looks like it is. No trees are falling apart and rolling down the hill, so that's a good sign. Now, let's go ahead and see if we could find ourselves a nice little World War II ship. So that would be pretty neat. Obviously, this first map is going to be kind of like a boot camp type thing or something like that. And it'll be kind of like maybe just located in the US. So, every single map is kind of going to have its like own location. So that's definitely gonna be pretty cool. But we just gotta try to find ourselves a nice old school type ship. Obviously, we're gonna look for something that doesn't really have any scripts in it because we're not really looking for that. We're just looking for a nice little model that kind of fits the vibe of the old World War II era. So let's open up this menu a little bit. I don't know if there's a way to pop it out or anything like that, so it's kind of unfortunate, but I wonder if there's any way to like filter it. Like, I don't know what this button does, so include on. Okay, so we don't want to do that. Definitely not that. That's probably a bad idea, but I guess there's really no way to filter it. So this one right here has scripts. This one doesn't. I'm trying to just like find like, see how this one says USS Missouri. So something like that is kind of the vibe we're going to be going for here. Or we could even look up like World War II aircraft carrier, something like that. Let's see if there's any good ones like this, because obviously these were like, really, really all around at that time. So still to this day, I think. But let's see, this one right here, I don't know if this one has any scripts or not, so let's just spawn it in, see what it looks like. But this is the type of stuff that I also want to have in the game, so just kind of keep that in mind, guys. Like, right now we're just going to kind of use something like this for decoration, but like in the future, maybe not necessarily like an aircraft carrier, because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but imagine we have some other type of battleship stuff like that. I know a lot of like probably, let's see here. No, actually, I don't know. What was the Missouri one or stuff like that? That most likely will be like in the game as its own type of like weapon or something. I just think that would be pretty neat. So anyways, let's just go ahead, throw this in the water here, and that way we'll have it and it'll just look pretty neat. Just, any little bit of decoration is good for the game. So we'll put that in here, kind of maybe like a little angle to it, and we'll call it a day. So we'll kind of just keep it like that. Let's see, is it in the water? Looks like it's in the water to me, so that's good. Is that the most detailed, airship or aircraft carrier ship I've ever seen before? Probably not. Like, I'm sure there's better ones in here, stuff like that. But hey, man, for right now, for our first ever map, kind of taking it nice and slow here, I think that is going to work out just fine for us. So let's go ahead, close up all those menus, open this back up. We got to kind of try to name these just so that way we have it. So we'll just call that the ship. And we got the grass, which is the actual grass, and this one is the sand. So let's just go ahead and name that. And we could also probably find some, like I said, barricades to put on the beach here, just because, back then that's kind of what they used to slow like the enemies or the good guys down, whatever way you're looking at it. So that is something that we should definitely have there. And we could go to, let's see, so we got to go back to, is it view? Yeah, so toolbox. So maybe we could look up like World War II barricades or something like this, and maybe they'll have them. And yeah, stuff like this is kind of what we'd be going for. I'm seeing a lot of like, futuristic type barricades, and obviously that's not what we're looking for. But what we are looking for is something like this: World War II, World War I, like tank barricades. Now these ones are wooden, so what we could do is go ahead and grab one of these, right? And we'll throw that onto the beach just like this. And we're definitely going to have to probably make it a little bit smaller. So we'll scale that down just a tad like that. Because like I said, we're kind of going like, we don't want this to be bigger than the trees. That wouldn't make very much sense. But we want the people playing the game to at least be able to see it. So that's a good thing. We'll just kind of throw a couple of these guys down on the map. But before we do anything else, we're going to go in here and... Ooh, I don't know how easy this is going to be. Is there really that many things included in this? Holy smokes, guys. Really? That much stuff? It just doesn't seem... Oh, wait, that actually might be the ship. Hold on one second, guys. Is that the ship? No, that's the military canvas. Okay, so the ship, the model... Okay, this one is the one we want right here. So, yeah, I was going to say, it didn't look like there was that much stuff inside of that, but I was going to go crazy there for a second. But what would this be? Some sort of metal? I wonder if they just have a thing called metal. So they do, in fact. So we'll do that, and we'll kind of go down here and maybe pick like a dark grayish type vibe. Is that too dark? That might be a little too dark, guys. So we'll bring that up a notch and kind of go like that. Is that actually, I wonder if we could get like a rusty type vibe on it, like at least a texture of rust. That would be kind of nice as well. But let's just go down here and see if they have some sort of rust. I don't know if they will or not, but like, maybe, let's see, that's pavement. Oh, actually, concrete might be actually the right move here, now that I'm thinking about it. Ooh, the concrete, I don't know if that looks as good, but I think that might work. See, I don't know. I'm sure that there might have been some concrete ones, probably some metal ones. Like, who knows? I don't really know. Hey, I wasn't there. So we'll go concrete for right now, make it a little bit darker, like something like that. And that will definitely do the trick for this video and for our first map. Maybe one day we'll have an actual map maker, not me just kind of throwing stuff around. But like, so far so good. We'll just call this barricade, go like that, and then we'll go ahead and probably make a couple of these guys and see what we could do. Actually, we don't even need to do that. We got some shortcuts going here, guys. I actually learned a few shortcuts. Thank you to a few of you guys in the comments. If you guys have any other shortcuts for your boy, like I said, of course, please feel free to let me know at any time, guys. Seriously, it would help me out a bunch, so I appreciate that. Some of you guys have been going through and just kind of giving me some shortcuts, so very, very helpful. But anyways, if we do have ships, what we could do is give them like insane range. So like it'll just start off by only covering like this part of the track or something, but then it'll just end up covering like the whole map or something, or just make it straight up really expensive and it just covers the whole map, because that would be a good idea. Now let's go ahead, just get down like a few more here, just like something like this. And we could also do like maybe like barbed wire or something like that, but do we really need to right now? Probably not, honestly. Probably not. We probably don't need to go ahead and go crazy. But for right now, man, that's looking pretty good if you ask me. Like, let's go ahead, spawn in the world here. We're going to go ahead and get all these grouped up to the real quick. So folder, and we'll rename that. There's probably like shortcuts for all of this stuff. So seriously, guys, if you know any of them, let me know and it'll help me out a ton. So we'll throw all those barricades in there. We got the two bases, the ship, and all that good stuff. So we even have these two parts right here, so I can go ahead and kind of group those up maybe a little bit later on. Right now, not too worried about that, but I feel like that tree should be like right there. I don't know why. It's gonna drive me crazy. Maybe, oh my god, we can't do that. All right, let's go ahead, move that back. We probably should be locking a few of these things. I don't know necessarily. Oh, locked. Okay, there we go. Lock that, lock this, lock a bunch of this stuff. Probably like all the mountains we'd want to lock, just because that way, guess what? We'll never have to worry about it ever again for the most part. So if we go ahead and let's see here, so select children, we could go like that and then lock by doing that. That's gonna make our life a little bit easier. So I don't understand how they're doing these things. Like, honestly, like if I go and try to find this mountain, so like this is the mountain, and it looks just like they do some mesh parts. So I just got to figure out terrain. Like, I want to learn how to build mountains that look like that. Like I said, that's just like a part, so I just kind of threw that in there. But like, I want to know how to do that, so it'll just make my life easier. If I'm the one making the maps in the future, I guess it would probably be a good idea to know how to do that. You know what I'm saying? But for right now, guys, I would say that this is looking fairly good. Let's go ahead, jump in real quick, see what we're dealing with here. Oh no, not again, man. I'm gonna just kind of forget about that every single time, I feel like. But man, that's looking pretty good so far. Low key, I'm kind of feeling it. I like it. And, we're definitely going to go with that for right now. So now I think we can officially go ahead after I just quickly go into the barricades folder and select all these and, anchor all that stuff. I think we could actually get into figuring out the wave system. So there we go. Let's test that one last time before we jump into the scripting part of this video. But yeah, man, that's looking good so far. Pretty simple, pretty basic, but that's all we need, guys. We just got to keep it simple. We don't require anything too crazy out here. In the future, like I said, we could hire our own map makers and stuff like that. But I had fun building the map, actually. Like, low-key, this is kind of fun. We definitely have some other ideas. Like, in the future, we're going to be basing maps off, like, places. So we could have, like, a Paris map. I know one dude tried to build me a Paris map. Looks pretty decent, but I definitely want to expand upon it and kind of make it look a little bit better. But definitely a good start, guys. I like the way this is coming along, but let's try to figure out how to spawn these like little enemies in actual waves now. So I'm gonna watch that gnome video now. This time, I swear, I promise. And then we're gonna go ahead and get scripted. Let's do it. Okay, guys, so a few things that we are working on now. So you see how we just have this guy right here? Well, obviously, at the start of a match, we don't want just like one at a time, and we also don't want to like duplicate them, apparently. So we're kind of going to want to just kind of spawn them in with its own script. So we actually started working on the main game script, and we have that over here in server script service. So that's something. We got the mob thing going as well. That's what we're going to use to, I guess, go ahead and actually spawn these in. But other than that, a few things that Gnome said to do. So, first of all, a huge shout out to him. He made a great series, it looks like, so far, and tons of people who watched it, probably helped out millions of people, so very awesome. But something that he said to do within this second video is to go ahead and kind of group everything into like one named like map. So like I said, we'll probably just call this like the boot camp map. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of grab the barricades, the trees, and let's see, like what else we get. The mountains, obviously, the path, the waypoints. Is there anything else? Spawn location, probably. The base and military canvas, we'll just kind of grab those two just for now. The grass and sand too, we'll grab all that stuff. The soldier, we're actually not going to grab him. He's going to go down into server storage because it's going to be something that we have to access to actually pull into the map. It's not going to be there at the start. And then we also forgot the ship. So we just got to grab all these. We're going to go ahead, group these into a folder. And like I said, we'll name this boot camp, I guess. I don't even know if that makes any sense, but that's what we're going to call it. So boot camp, there we go. And, you know, I might come up with a better name for it in the future. We might actually come up with like a fort or something like that, or a military base specific name back then. I don't know the names of the bases. I'm not that too familiar with it, but we'll figure something out. Maybe come up with a better name for the map later on. But for right now, we're just probably pretend it's like the boot camp area. But okay, anyways, let's go ahead, move this soldier guy into server storage. So as you can see now, that's going to go ahead, get rid of him. And in here, we'll probably create a folder, and we're just going to call this like enemies or mobs, I guess. So we'll just go ahead. Looks like he calls it mobs. So we'll call it mobs too, just to kind of follow along. And we'll throw the soldier guy on in there. Like I said, we're probably gonna have to access that through this like script or something like that, and that's gonna be good because hopefully by the end of this video we're gonna have waves of those enemies spawning in just with one simple script. So that's gonna be a good start. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna work on the next few parts, see what he has to say, and then do what he's got to say. All right, let's figure it out. Well, boys, we ran into our first problem already here. So we got the little red box that he goes ahead and to show kind of like where to spawn the enemies, or at least like where they will spawn when they start going. And when I go ahead and try to run the game here, we already have a nice little error right here. But I think I know what I did wrong. But so far, like, this is the code I got. So if any of you guys see anything crazy going on here, let me know. But we got our main script and then the module script inside of it. So we got all that. But what I think I did wrong, and it's like one of those little things with this like coding thing. It's all these little tiny things. But anyways, this little part that I have here, I don't know, I just kind of have it out in the middle of nowhere. It's not like in anything right now. So first of all, let's go ahead and we're gonna get like rid of the game, stop it for right now. We're gonna rename this little part here. Let's make this screen a little bit bigger, try to find the name here, and we're just gonna call this start, I guess. And we'll go ahead and we'll drag this into the boot camp. Now, I don't know if that's going to make the difference or not, but let's rerun this and let's see if that makes the difference. So it looks like it does not. So when you run into a problem like this, obviously I have my output open right here, and it kind of tells me, whatever, server script dot service whatever dot main dot mob 10 attempt to index nil with C-frame. Now, personally, I have no idea what that means. I could click it and we'll go in here and take a look at this, and that's great and all. But once again, guys, I don't know necessarily what that means. So we got a problem with that. Now, did I name that start with a capital S? I did not. So maybe, because I see this right here, so it's like it's trying to get it, I guess, in the map and then start in the C frame, whatever, I don't know, something like that. So let's just make this a capital S, and that's the only thing I could think of, what it might be. If that's not the problem, then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I will have to go to ChatGPT. Oops, you can never edit it when the game's actually running. So let's go ahead and do that real quick, and now try it out. And it did not work. So we're going to go ahead, open up ChatGPT and figure out what I did wrong, because I'm pretty sure I followed everything along the exact way, but clearly not. That's what happens, boys. I'll go ahead and open that up and see what I can figure out. Well, guys, me and ChatGPT just had like a 10-minute conversation here. We figured out the problem together here. So in the main script, this part right here, I actually had it called like, I don't know, like boot camp map or something like that. So I had pretty much the wrong name here, but I also had these little marks around it. So that's not good, I guess, and you can't do that. So let's go back to the game, and we're going to go ahead and fix this all real quick. So we're going to go like that. And let's see what happens now. So looks like I got to get rid of the capital there and just make it map. But there we go. Oh, no, that's probably not going to save because I am in editing mode right now, so that is quite unfortunate. So we're gonna go ahead, stop that real quick, and then we're gonna go back on in here, and oh, we're actually good. All right, so let's go in the game and let's see if this all works. It made actually a couple other changes, but it looks like it works perfectly now. So that's awesome. That script is completely working. And now we are back on the right track here. Things were getting a little scary there. I was having a lot of issues, but it looks like we figured it out. God, I love ChatGPT, guys. It is one good and smart thing. I'll tell you that right now. I would have never figured that out on my own, but it's those crazy little things, guys. One little typo, I spelled one word wrong. One word wrong, and I had the marks around the one wrong thing. So, man, everything in coding really, really makes the difference. That's why you really got to know what you're doing. But luckily, with the help of ChatGPT or someone else that can help you, like Gnome or something, you could pretty much just figure all these things out. Pretty much, just by that. So it's a good thing we have here. Now, though, let's go ahead and try to figure out how to spawn multiple of these guys at once so we have waves going. So I know that's the next part of Gnome's video, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right, boys, so check this out. We actually have something working here slightly right now. So there's our one guy, and we got another one spawning in. Now, obviously, what the problem here is they're getting to the end, and then it's spawning another guy. So basically, it would be like one guy per wave, which is obviously not good. That's not how we want the game to play. Maybe, unless like the last wave's like a special boss or something like that. But other than that, this is obviously a problem. So see, he gets there, and then boom, waits 1 second as soon as he reaches the end, and then the next one spawns. So we're on to something, but it's also kind of following along in the video. I had some problems here and there. We're kind of figuring it out as we go. I actually had duplicated this one line of code right here twice. I had it right below this one, and then I also didn't have this here. So that's because the AI tried to help me out, so I switched some stuff, and now I'm kind of reverting back because we solved the problem, which was the thing in here, which we don't have anymore, but it was this right here, this little line of code. So that was a problem earlier, but now we are good, and we're going to figure out the next part here. We don't have much longer in this video left, so let's finish it up, and then we'll be good. All right, so guys, we actually finished Gnome Code's second video here, and this is what our map is looking like. So a few extra things I did. I just kind of added just a random, like, background type thing. So let's just pretend, like I said, this is kind of like in the US right now, so it's gonna be some sort of US based map. I'll figure out like a name of a good old school base or something like that. We'll call it that. This is boot camp map number 1. We got the Atlantic Ocean here, we got an aircraft carrier out here, and something I actually did in fact add, you guys remember, like I was like swimming in the water. I think I showed that earlier. So like this is like actual water, you could swim in it and stuff. So that'd be a problem because then you could just kind of get under the map, start swimming. We don't want that. So we actually added just like glass right here, and it's completely invisible. You guys can't see it, and you can walk on it. So we'll have that be like some sort of part, I'm sure, later on, where it'll like kind of be like a check where like, is it water, like the part or whatever, because you guys can see right here it's water, and then like if it is water, then yes, you could in fact place your ships. So I'm assuming that's some sort of thing. You get down your ship, maybe I'll have like a limit of just 1 ship per map per person, and then you can put that down, it'll cover the whole entire map, probably be explosive type, damage, and boom, there you go. So that goes out to about here, and then we'll have like an invisible wall kind of going up the mountain over here. Probably like, like that's why, like if you zoom out really far on your camera, you'll kind of see the whole ocean and then the map. So that's cool and all. So that's all good. But what about the coding and the scripting of the like wave gameplay? So guess what, boys? We have it all pretty much squared away. So if you look in here, I'll show you guys my folders or whatever. This is the main script. You guys can see here. So basically, like we got 5 waves right now. Obviously in the future, probably go up to like 15 or whatever. But we got them going, and there's a bunch of other stuff in here. This is kind of just like the settings he kind of showed and explained like how it works. So basically for the first 4 waves, it's going to do 3 times whatever wave it is. So if it's wave 2, it'll be like 6 or then 9, and then, whatever. I think that's how it works. And then for the final wave number 5, if it's equal to 5, then there's going to be 100, enemy soldiers that spawn. So kind of a bit. And then down here, we got some other stuff. So this stuff, I'm not entirely sure to explain how that all works, but what I'm going to assume is basically, at first, like when we were starting the waves up, it just went nonstop, but now it's going to go ahead and check this folder here that I have in my bootcamp map, and, it actually will be populated by the zombies. So like at the first wave, there's going to be 3, it'll show the 3 in here, and then until they are dead, which they will die when they get to the end, they're just going to be auto-destroyed. Once that happens, then the next wave will start. Now, we don't have any UI or anything popping up on the screen yet for like wave starting, now, or like 3, 2, 2, like, 1, next wave starts now, whatever. We don't have any of that, obviously, but I will show you guys that this is all working as of right now. So as I was saying, we got our first 3 enemy soldiers spawning in, and then if we go ahead and go into the map, you can check the mob folder, and boom, there's 3 in here. So if we were to go ahead and I believe just straight up delete these guys just like that, you know, technically it'll be like wave starting number 2. At least it should do that. If it doesn't do that, then we have an issue, I guess. But might have clicked the wrong button there. Let's just stop and restart that. Or maybe you just physically cannot do that. I'm not too sure, but luckily we didn't break anything, so that's all good. Well, let's just test it out, see if these guys get to the end, if the second wave starts. You guys see I got the output down here, wave starting number 1, whatever. I was assuming that if you deleted those guys that the next wave would start, but maybe that's just not how that works. I'm not, like I said, I'm not too sure. Obviously, I'm no professional coder quite yet. We're just pretty much going into this project with no knowledge at all, other than a little bit of you know, coding stuff here and there throughout school. But here we go. They're getting to the end, so they should auto-destroy. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. And wave ended, so there we go. That's perfect. And now wave number 2 starting. So there's going to be 6 on the track, like I was saying. And then wave 3 will start. It's going to do the multiplication again, so there should be 9 all the way up to wave 5, which then there would be 100, because of just the way we coded that main script here, where we said, you know, if it is equal to wave number 5, then it's going to be just 100 enemies that spawn. So pretty cool stuff here, guys. You know, we don't have any like attacking or, you know, towers yet or whatever. But boys, what I will say is we got something. We got a map. We got a, honestly, for the first ever map I made, I'm liking the vibe. You know, we definitely could go cooler and better in the future. But for right now, I mean, did this all myself, and I'm pretty happy with it. You know, it's simple, obviously, but it's kind of like old school Roblox vibes, and I like that. You know, I'm down for that. But we got the bases here. In Gnome's videos, he doesn't have bases, but for right now, I'm just going to throw these in so it just looks a little bit better. It kind of helps out, give good vibes to the map, too. But boys, this is the start of something big here. And like I said, I hope y'all stick around for the journey of this project. It's going to be going on for quite some time. But, you know, this whole channel is based off of tower defense games. So I'm hoping y'all are liking this series so far. If y'all are, show some love, hit the like, subscribe button, all that good stuff. We are on the road to 600,000 subs. And if we do hit that goal, don't forget, if you still follow me on TTD, if we hit 600K by the end of summer, we're giving away an ultimate. So check that out. And hopefully we'll have an ultimate on this game by then. But we'll see how long this takes to code all the way. But so far, so good. Episode 2 is done. Day number 3 starting tomorrow, hopefully, and we'll check out Gnome's video then, and we'll work on whatever he has in that video. So we did utilize some AI today. We utilized Gnome's video, so shout out to both of those tools and, you know, people, whatever. And, you know, no forums today, but maybe we'll get to some forums in the future. But so far, so good. We'll continue this, and we'll keep on figuring new stuff out every single day. So hopefully you guys are here for that journey. But with all that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Adios.